Welcome to another video from fantasyfootballscout.co.uk. Here we're once again looking ahead to Game Week 1 and we're asking some of our Scoutcast regulars to be guinea pigs and reveal their Game Week 1 sides and chat through it and some of the kind of key players and decisions. So next up we've got Az. Welcome, Az.
Hello.
Hello.
How
So
are you?
I'm very well and looking forward to Game Week 1 as I'm sure you are as well.
I can't see you. It's really weird. The way
I know.
It's set up. It's like a black screen.
Well, I know, that's the thing. I'm going to be, this is why I put myself at an advantage over you. But you can see your team, so can I, and so can the viewers, and this is a good thing. Because they can have a look at it, and I think they may notice something that I noticed as well, first of all. You've not only got triple City, Manchester City, you've got triple Liverpool as well. So a massive chunk of your first 11 is based on two teams, but they're good teams. So just take us through that. So perhaps if we go through Liverpool first, why have you got these three Liverpool players, and why do you think they justify such a big chunk of your 11?
Yeah, I mean, I think this year in general is going to be Liverpool and City at the top of the table. City were just brilliant when they played at the weekends. They look like haven't got any rustiness at all. Liverpool have made some great signings. Got to the Champions League final. They really should have finished higher than they did last year. So I mean, a couple of the picks were really easy. I mean, Salah is the easiest pick ever. I can't believe 45% of players are going without him. I just think it's crazy not to start with him with West Ham at home in the first game. If he does do well, and you've spread your funds around, it's going to be hard to get him in. It's going to be heavy on your rank. Big hit. If you start the season 4 million rank, then you're having to kind of catch up before you've even got out the first couple of game weeks. So I just think it's not worth the risk of going without him for the first week. Robertson just seems like a great pick as well. I think he hasn't had the World Cup. He's been training, playing. Klopp loves him. His stats last year were just crazy. The number of crosses he puts in, and obviously finished the season last year with you had him, didn't you? Goal and assist and 3 bonus. A clean sheet, wasn't it? Was it 18 points?
Yeah,
something like that?
I mean, yeah, forever for me, he's a legend. Even if he does nothing, forever more, he will be a legend for me. I can see why you've got him as well. We spoke yesterday in a previous video with David about this. He's got Robertson in his team as well. But one player he didn't have was Mane. Now, you've taken the decision to pair up Mane and Salah. Now, what happens if they have a game like they did, for example, when they played Stoke last year, where it was 0-0?
It's always I don't tend to do it. I mean, I don't tend to double up with two sort of premium players. I think the last time I can really remember doing it and it being really successful was when we had Sturridge and Suarez, two strikers up front who were every week they were taking it in turns to score stupid numbers of goals. So it is a gamble. I think the main reason I've done it is because there's no other Liverpool attackers that I'm not interested in. I mean, there's lots of people are going for Firmino. He has been training, I think, but I'm trying to avoid the World Cup sort of the players who got out of the group stages. I just think they're going to need a few weeks to adjust. There might be some early subs, maybe some surprise benches, for them, things like that. And then you look at the rest of the Liverpool, midfield, and Keita maybe, but he's an unknown player. Who else is there other than those three? So if I'm making a decision not to go for Firmino, then it's got to be Mane. The thing I like about it as well is I think with Bernardo Silva at City, you do actually have this kind of cheaper player to go with. So if there was a 7.5 million player at Liverpool, I could potentially go for Mahrez of City and then the cheaper Liverpool player. But there isn't that player at Liverpool, so going for Mane and Bernardo Silva seems to kind of balance it out a bit more.
I mean, one of the reasons I quite like seeing Mane there, and it's at the moment I've got Eriksen in that role, but I could easily have Mane, and I kind of like that because it's a 9.5 role. I feel I can move up to say a KDB or Hazard if they emerge and do well. but I can also I've got a kind of a cash cow there. I mean, you can free up if you want to get down to 4.5. You've got 5 million there. Now that 5 million could use. So we'll come to your attack in a bit. But so for example, that could easily give you enough money to go from Arnautovic to Aubameyang in game week 3 when Arsenal's fixtures. So I like to see a 9.5 player in there. To me, it doesn't matter who it is as long as they're quite good. And I think Mane, I mean, why not? I might end up with him as well there alongside Salah. So
I think that one problem with that though is, okay, I'm looking at ways of potentially getting Aubameyang in or Lacazette if I can't quite stretch with Aubameyang, and Mane seems to be the one that I could lose. But in game week 3, he's got Brighton at home, and Brighton got thrashed twice by Liverpool last season. Liverpool are a lot stronger this season. I don't know if I fancy getting rid of Mane for that game.
But isn't that a nice choice to be in? So
exactly, yeah.
You're in that nice position where you're looking already ahead to game week 3 and thinking, oh God, I've got this really good player here, or I could get rid of for another really good player. Whereas other people might be looking at that and thinking, oh my God, how am I going to get in these good players that are emerging? How will I get Mane in, who perhaps would have scored 2 or 3 goals in the first 2 game weeks? Entirely possible.
I mean, my team, I'm looking at it now, it isn't a flexible team. Normally I start a season, I try and have ways of getting in certain players if I need to, things, and we'll probably talk about my bench in a bit.
Yeah.
It's not great, but what I like about Mane is there's lots of players around that price point who either might not be starting the season or might come into contention a bit later on, and as you say, having that 9.5 million just means that it's an easy trade to, if I want Eriksen, if I want LA, or even if I want De Bruyne, it's only 0.5 if I lose a City player. There's lots of players around that price, so it doesn't have to be Mane, but with Liverpool's start to the season, I think he's probably the best one to go for.
So let me turn into your Man City trio here. So once again, we spoke with David in a previous video about Mendy, and I know you're a big fan of wing backs. You like that. You started last season. If for those, correct me if I'm wrong, you came top 1,000 last year in the overall.
Yeah, eight.
There we go. He remembers it. He's tattooed on you already.
Yes.
So obviously you know what you're doing. And last season, I think I'm right here as well, that you started by going quite strong on wing backs. You like those attacks. So you've got wing backs and full backs. So you've got Robertson, you've got Van Aanholt as well, and you've got Mendy. So you're obviously following. Is it the secret of success last season? You're hoping it will carry on this season as well?
I don't know. It was a bit different last year, because last year they were actually wing backs. You had like Tottenham, Chelsea, Palace, and all these players playing with the wing back formation, and it just was really exciting. I thought it was really good. This year they're not really traditional wing backs. I mean, Mendy might be, because Pep's been hinting that he might go with a kind of wing back formation. So if he does do that, then I think Mendy is going to be absolutely golden this year. Even if he doesn't do that, I still think he's so attacking. He just drives forward. He loves to play that kind of last couple of years. Alonso, I think he's hopefully going to pick up the mantle, because I think Alonso's going to decline massively this year in terms of attacking. You could see it at the weekend. He was driving forward, but then he was getting to a certain point and he was stopping. And I think the last couple of seasons he'd been really pushing on getting into the box, and he was kind of one of their most attacking players.
Well, he's also, people may not know this. If they don't follow his Twitter account, he's actually part human and part shark as well. So that gives him that attacking razor sharp edge going forward. So yeah, really great to see him there. Bernardo Silva, we've spoken a bit about this week. Lots of people have noticed Pep Guardiola has pretty much said he's nailed on first couple of games at least, till someone proves him otherwise. And Aguero, we all know what he's capable of. So in order to fit all these players in, you've got a few. So before we come to your bench and your lack of flexibility in your team, I just wanted to ask about some of these kind of, I suppose, fringe players really. You're taking a bit of a punt on here. So one of them is Maddison for Leicester. So he's joined Leicester. He joined from Norwich, I believe. Last season in the Championship, he had a shot every 31 minutes. Mahrez every 40 minutes. Obviously, huge difference between top flight and championship there. So he's got
double work for me, John.
Well, I've just that one little stat I've got there. So you've probably got many more, but is that the kind of thing that you're looking at there? You're hoping that he's going to make that transition to the top flight and not fall flat on his face like so many others before him, like Ebanks, Blake, etc.
Yeah, but basically, I think he is a player that really excites me, not just because he's got great sort of attacking stats and things, but just his monopoly of set pieces that he's already looks like he's going to get. And I think Mahrez leaving was what really, put him on my radar, because if you watch some of the pre-season games, Madison's now taking the corners, he's taking the free kicks. I doubt he's going to wrestle penalties off Vardy, but he has got a very good record with penalties as well. I think he scored 4 last season. So if Vardy does miss 1 or 2, then I think it's going to be Maddison next in line to take them up. Not just attacking shots wise though. He also created 120 chances last year for his teammates. De Bruyne. You don't want to compare him to De Bruyne, obviously, but De Bruyne created 104. Much more difficult league, but it's that kind of player, isn't it? He's creating chances. He's taking free kicks. He's shooting. He's taking shots on this. It's this kind of talisman theory, I think, and I think as the season progresses, I'm hoping that Maddison not only makes a step up into the Premier League, but also becomes Leicester's kind of talisman. I'm kind of putting him in the same bracket as Sigurdsson here for Swansea. I'm hoping that he becomes a Sigurdsson and not a Ebanks Blake.
Another player that we know about last season, he was fantastic for about 12 game weeks, and then not so good for the rest. So this is Richarlison. So he's back with his mentor Silva at Everton. You've probably got lots of Richarlison stats, but there's so many of them, and they're all really odd. So last season he had almost twice as many headed attempts on goal as any other midfielder, 2017-18, and only one of those headed chances led to a goal. So he's in the air, he's prolific, but he can't find the net in the air. He's a rare beast, really. Just 2 midfielders, Mohamed Salah and Christian Eriksen, had more attempts on goal than Richarlison in 2017-18. So we know what he's about. He's about really exciting. He's a really exciting player that looks like he's going to score more, but didn't quite. What do you think is going to be different this time around?
I got in a lot of trouble last year because I compared him to Dusan Tadic, who at one point was very similar to Richarlison. He had an amazing array of underlying stats, but just couldn't hit the net to save his life. I got slated for that. But it kind of came true, I think, towards the end of the season, because Richarlison just went completely off the boil. I find Everton a really difficult one to predict this year, because they've got a really good team, they've got the manager they want, they've got some fantastic opening fixtures, and I'm looking at their players, and there's quite a lot of players I'm interested in. I mean, you've got Coleman in defence, you've got Pickford as well, you've got the new French guy Digne, is that how you pronounce it? I don't know why I'm asking you.
Don't ask me. I mean, could be Digne for all I know.
And then you've got Toussaint up front, and I've had Toussaint kind of all pre-season. And it was only when I was sort of playing around with it the other day that I kind of put this team together, and I thought, okay, I think actually Richarlison at 6.5, because Toussaint's a bit of a gamble as well. Like he did quite well last season, but I had him for a bit, and he got me a couple of goals. And you think with Sigurdsson, putting the ball in, he's going to do quite well, but I don't know. There's still some question marks about him, and I think Richarlison for 0.5 less. He's played under Silva before and done really well. I think he probably is the standout pick for me in that thing. He's got a lot to prove. I mean, what was it, £50 million they paid for him? So he's going to be in the team. They're going to be looking to get the ball to him.
Yeah.
It's just hope he can improve on his finishing.
I like his price as well. I'm not too interested in him, but I'm interested in a 6.5 midfielder, because there's lots of potential around there. There's also lots of potential around the 5.5 and 5 midfielders that we don't know about. They're going to emerge. It's a bit of a lottery trying to guess who they are. And I think Richarlison's in my team as well, because I'd like to have a 6.5 midfield. I think it gives me that, and yourself as well, that flexibility. After a couple of Everton have got good fixtures, and so we will know against poorer teams.
Exactly.
it's not like he's against Arsenal and Chelsea and Man City where we're not quite sure. So we'll know after 2 or 3 game weeks, and if after 2 or 3 game weeks he's doing nothing against easy sides, see you later, Richarlison, and hello, a Wolves midfielder perhaps, or
exactly. Yeah, I mean they've got Wolves away, Southampton at home, Bournemouth away, Huddersfield at home. I mean it doesn't really get much better than that. And if Everton are struggling in those games and Richarlison isn't performing, if he's getting subbed off early or anything like that, then there's plenty of options around him to switch out for. So I think going with an Everton attacker, seems really logical. Sigurdsson I think is a great pick. He's $1 million more though, but should have all the set pieces. I think pretty much everyone's going to start with either Sigurdsson, Tuchel, or Richarlison, or maybe two of them.
So now I've also noticed, sticking with Everton, you've got Pickford and Stecklenburg. So you've got no choice. You are playing an Everton goalie. No. Oh, sorry. You're not. You haven't got Stecklenburg.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So you're going for an Everton goalie. Now they've conceded 11 goals in the last 4 pre-season, 3 against Blackburn. So why on earth do you think Everton are good for your goalies?
Oh, it doesn't mean anything pre-season. Come on. I know I mentioned Maddison's attacking return. Maybe I'm a little bit biased. I don't like rotation. I don't like rotating goalkeepers. I find it, of all the things in fantasy football, I find any kind of rotation to be the most stressful thing you can do, because you always end up missing out on points, and it just never works. I was considering the Fabianski Foster rotation because I think that looks really nice, but you just know that Fabianski's going to save a penalty against Liverpool, and then Foster's going to concede 3 to Brighton. I just don't like it. It happens I try every year, and it never works. So I'm just gonna go for one goalkeeper. And I'm looking at the goalkeepers. I'm thinking I'm probably going to play a relatively early wild card this year, because you've got all the World Cup players coming back, and I always play it early anyway. So what's the point in planning 12, 13, 14 game weeks when I'm probably going to play it in game week 4? So I'm looking at the first couple of opening fixtures, and Everton's fixtures are just the best. So why wouldn't I go for the the Everton goalkeeper? Just makes sense to me.
Okay, and I mean, just before we go, I wanted to talk about this bench, which is awful, but also I want to talk about it in terms of flexibility as well, because we've spoken about. I'd really like some of the players you've got there for the price points. You can move around, but I feel that you're stuck with I can't see anything other than a 3-5-2 there, unless Wan-Bissaka actually plays, in which case you could possibly double up on Palace defence and go 4-4-2. So I mean, some of the other teams I've seen have been a bit more flexible. So one of their defenders will be a 4.5, for example, or perhaps instead of they'll have a 5 or 5.5 attacker, perhaps. So they've got a bit of flexibility to move around, perhaps do 4 at the back or something like that. So how are you feeling about that? Do you think that's going to change, or are you quite happy just going 3-5-2? This is my 11. Don't care about my bench.
Happy isn't probably the word I'd use. I look at the team and I think I would love a 4.5. I could upgrade Chiletto to Duffy, or I could upgrade Wan-Bissaka to Tompkins. There's Kamara. He's fine, but it would be nice to have a certain playing defender. But I look at the team and I think, well, who am I going to downgrade? Like I could do Mendy to Stones. Don't really want to do that. Van Aanholt to Sacco. Don't really want to do that. And then the front 7. I mean, I don't want to lose any of those.
What about really. Van Aanholt to Tompkins or Schlupp?
Yeah, but
that frees up $1 million.
I want Van Aanholt for attacking returns. And I know Tompkins scores a few headers, but that's not what that's not what I'm paying for with Van Aanholt. I'm expecting him to. You've got good fixtures to start with. I'm expecting him to get a goal or 2 in the opening 5. He didn't last year when I had him, but I'm hoping this year it's a bit different. Van Aanholt's the one who probably is the most expendable, I think, out of that.
Yeah, he looks like the first out of the balloon.
He looks like the first, but I'm looking at it, I'm thinking, well, who would he go to? I mean, I do like Sacco for Palace, because he might not have the same goal threat, but he loves a bonus point or 3. So if Palace keep a clean sheet and he's playing, then he's probably up there. So he's a potential. But then I think I don't know. It doesn't really. It doesn't excite me like it does having Van Aanholt. And If one of these players misses out, then I can transfer them out next week, and next week, that's crazy, isn't it? And then go from there.
So it's I was just going to say, Maddison is 7.5, is he?
6.
He's 6, is he? Really?
Yeah,
So I can see why he's there then. That's why. I mean, it's difficult to know where to go from him, because the players that are good, if Maddison flops, the emerging players, there's a million to be saved there potentially, if he flops. But I think you're right. I think Van Aanholt is the one that might make way if you get the heebie-jeebies about that bench. But I don't know. You never know. With Wan-Bissaka, could be if he's playing, then you've suddenly got an option.
I think my biggest problem is City, because you never really know what Pep's going to do, and it wouldn't massively surprise me if one of Aguero, Silva, or Mendy were benched at the weekend. Despite all having good games, like Community Shield, Pep has so many options, and some of his players are back, and he wants to. He wants to play Delph at left back again for no reason whatsoever. Then I don't think it would massively surprise me. And Sciletto is going to win the place, I think, over Bruno. Bruno's 37 now. He can't play every week. Bruno.
Yeah, I've been quite surprised about the minutes Bruno's been getting.
Yeah, so have I. Yeah.
I think a lot of people have, and so I think that's.
Well, I'm really surprised Brian haven't signed a new right back, because they're both. I mean, Bruno's 37 and Sciletto is rubbish. So I'm fully expecting us to sign a right back tomorrow.
Well, you never know. That could be the player to woo you. And but anyway, thanks so much for dropping by, showing us your team. So triple City, triple Liverpool comes at a cost on that bench, but you never know how it's going to pan out Friday. But looks pretty good, inflexible but good, and I can't argue with those City and Liverpool players. But no, thanks so much for joining us, and good luck with Game Week 1.
You too. I'll see you tonight on the Scoutcast.
See you, and goodbye all.
See you later.